And then this morning, just to introduce our church a little bit more, I'd like to tell you what exactly Congregationalists are. Because many people attend Congregationalist churches, but they don't know what we actually are. So Congregationalists, the name, was used for people in the 16th century who were both men and women who saw themselves as reviving the church of the earliest Christians. In other words, the church of the apostles in the book of the Acts of Apostles. That first church, the first, you could call it the pure church, if you will, as it was back then. So they shared the universal faith of the church as restored by the reformers. Okay? But they became a distinct group. They were also called separatists at one stage. Okay? They were called these separatists because when the church had been freed from Roman rule, in other words, the Pope was told, listen, you're not the head of the church, even though you think you are. Big surprise, you are not. Christ is the head of the church. Always has been, always will be. But now they were freed from this rule, just to be placed under the rule now of the Queen. And they said, you know what? We just told the Pope he's not the head of the church. Now you want to step up to be the head of the church. No, it remains Christ. Many Congregationalists were actually arrested and imprisoned for preaching this, for going against the mainstream churches of the day. That is why they were actually called separatists, because they believed the Queen can now not step up and be the head of the church, because once church and state merges, it's no longer you who are free to worship Christ in the way the Bible intends it. But now it is a coerced religion based on what the state wants and dictates. So that is why they broke away from this. So they believed that the church still needed to reform and become more and more biblical as time progressed. Okay? And they said if the church and state did merge, they will never have the freedom to actually become the church Jesus intended them to be. Okay? So they also believed that the church should be guided by the Word of God alone. Still what Congregationalists believe. The Word of God alone is our statement of faith. It is what we believe, and it is what we are guided by. And Jesus Christ is the center of everything. To this day. Nothing else, nothing added. Jesus Christ. There's two very distinct principles that they held to as well. The first is the only head and ruler of the church is Jesus Christ. It's not the Pope, not the bishop, not the clergy, not the pastors, not anyone rising to a pulpit. Jesus. He is the one and only head of the church and always will be. He is also the one who established the church. And that is what Congregationalists also then believe. Okay, so we then believe also that you come together and you take decisions under the word of Christ, the word of God alone. Sola Scriptura. Same as all reformers. We hold to the Bible alone is the sole authority. Also then, not all citizens of the state are members of Christ's church, but only those whom Christ hath redeemed unto holiness and happiness forever. In other words, genuine, sincere followers and believers are the children of God. Those who have given their lives to God. It's not just now everyone is saved, that's universalism. Okay, we do not believe that. Everyone who comes to faith in Jesus Christ as a believer, those are the true children of God. Okay, and then a third distinctive to add is whereas many churches have the pastor and elders, they make all the decisions, it just filters down and everyone has to accept it. It does not work that way for Congregationalists. Okay, we are bottom up, not top down. What this means is any decision we make, we have to pass it on to you as a congregation to vote on it. You make the decision. Okay? Whereas with other churches, I say, if the pastor says something, that's the way it is. Not in Congregationalism. We do not make the decisions, you do. That is why we are Congregationalists. The congregation make the decisions. So that is just in short to give you an idea of what Congregationists actually are and what they believe. So in the simplest form to also explain it, we have the same polity as many churches, meaning the same hierarchy and structure stuff, except ours is bottom up, not top down.